And so we're just gonna, did I pick the right screen? What are you guys seeing?
The database, like help knowledge article. Ugh.
Okay, good.
Yep.
Um, yeah, and so I put this link in the email I sent out that said that this would be the topic today. And I'm not sure if this is even one that we can do in the uh, sandbox because it's a Primo related thing and the sandbox doesn't really have display views. So yeah, okay. Sorry. I fully intended to read this and figure out what was going on and then
I'm sorry to interrupt. Can I ask a quick tangential question?
yeah.
Yeah. So you just said you sent out an email about today's topic. What I didn't get anything like that. Where am I missing an email? Help.
I sent an email a week ago to the Alma listserv that
Okay.
just said open call topics.
I didn't get anything like that. Anybody? I,
Uh-oh.
I haven't gotten any emails from there in a little while.
I'm checking, but like I was surprised too.
Yeah, I sent it to that email.
Mm-mm.
Hmm. Maybe it blocked it.
I got your email on 4/1 about the Eluna funding, but not after that.
But not this one. Okay, well, I will look into that and thanks for the heads up. Um, all right. Well, okay. Good note. All right. So, configuring display labels for the database search. So let's go in and we'll just do Big Bend so that I know where I'm. And as usual, their instructions are like start in the middle, um, instead of starting at the beginning, of how to turn it on. And okay, we'll all just read together. Apologies. Okay, so config menu, discovery, other, customer settings, but that is for the expanded database search. Here's the link to this page so that you guys can also assigning categories to database records. The database search enables users to display a list of databases. Okay. Hmm. Abby, do you have any
I don't
recollection of where
remember.
you start? I'm like, where is this? I had such a great idea, but then I spent the entire morning doing other things and didn't
And it's
figure it
not
out.
in a view, right?
I don't, let's see. Okay.
I'm gonna try to find my notes.
So if we go into configure view and Carly testing, it doesn't, I mean, just because yeah, I don't see, there's no like databases. Um,
Let me see.
okay, so here's database search under links menu. So I've turned that on. And now let's edit. DB search. Okay. And then we'll save. And now we can zoom. Go to view. And just by turning it on there, it shows up here. And let's see what happens. So I know this is not the only one that is active. So let's,
I wasn't watching. Did it show up in the menu? Yeah. Okay. Cool.
yeah. Um,
So I
okay.
noticed that like some of the electronic collections that I've activated, and I don't understand all the ins and outs and all those check boxes, but a lot of them have suppressed bib records. So if you're not seeing tons, like I had to go back and modify. And I think it has to do with the collection level URL. Like if it's missing that, then it doesn't want to unsuppress or something, or vice versa.
Interesting. So since Agricola is the only one that showed up on, oop, oop. We will compare the Primo result with the item record. Okay, so no public name, no internal. It is a database.
I'm glad I'm not alone.
The level is like, I mean, like that looks pretty normal. Additional descriptive. No notes. I did just activate this. Ah, thanks, Kirsty. A collection level URL set in the additional tab. Which that's there, and a link to the bibliographic record set in the additional descriptive information field. Okay.
Okay.
So let's go to a different one. I can spell. That I can't spell. That's not right. Oh, well, it worked. Okay, so now we go to edit collection on this guy. We're at the additional. It's got a level URL.
But
And
it's
it's got,
suppressed. The bib is suppressed.
where do we see that?
Top right and the
Ah,
yeah.
but how do we unsuppress it?
If you go into the like grab the excuse me, the ID or go to the bib in the MD editor. And you might, yeah, descriptive record there. And if you push to MDE or edit, edit the edit. and then go to the MDE. What I found is that a lot of times when I activate electronic collections within from the community zone records, I can see the bib. I don't know why it didn't. Can you not see the bib? Maybe if you choose edit instead. That
Good.
this is a community zone bib that you can attempt to edit, but of course you don't own it. So I had to, in the record actions at the very bottom of them, it's like a menu. Yeah. I had to copy it to our local catalog in order to be able to make the changes required, including unsuppressing, but also adding a mark tag that defines the category.
Ah, I'm
I don't know if it'll save it, but I
let's
definitely know if you try to add
any category.
it's not gonna stick. See, like it doesn't
Ah,
like you editing the community zone records.
so we
Mhm.
copy to catalog.
And now you can unsuppress it, or did it automatically unsuppress? Might have. Yeah.
And okay, and now if we release, and wow, I just cannot spell for anything today.
Mhm.
So we find that got linked. Now we'll hit save. We close this, reload, and try.
It may take a bit. It's like
Because
slower.
it's an actual
Yeah.
catalog record being added.
Mhm.
What type
Okay.
of impact does it have to copy that to local? What are the implications of that? Like, does that
So
have any other?
that you can actually edit it. So like in ours, we have different categories of databases. And if you want those categories to show, you're going to need to add a tag on like a local mark field that you make up. And you're not able to do that to community zone records. So it's that like I can go and edit the record in addition to my local settings for collection for like electronic resources within Alma, right? So if we search for psychology within Alma now, you would find the electronic collection, but it would be in community zone. So it doesn't have tons of impact.
Right. I just am worried, like, is there any downside, any risk that I would be that I would be taking if I did that?
Yeah, I haven't noticed any. So
And once
Okay,
you've
just checking.
localized the bib record, it's your copy. So even if Ex Libris changes the community zone version, those changes are not going to they're not going to get made to your copy of the record. It's really like when you get a record from OCLC WorldCat and you bring it into your local system, other libraries can make changes in the WorldCat database, but their changes aren't going to affect your local copy of the record. If that makes sense.
No, I understand that. I was just wondering about things like when the database is updated, does this making this move doesn't affect anything like the results in Primo where things get updated or automatically or
No, that stuff is separate. This is just the bib record.
okay, thank you.
Yeah.
So this is what the database looks like. Uh, and and then it just that'll send me to the proxy.
Mhm.
And then
Another benefit or something to think about that the community zone bid records are kind of all over the map and as far as like naming conventions for electronic collections. And so if you want to have like an A to Z list of any sort, or you don't want, sometimes EBSCOhost is included before the database title, sometimes it's not, sometimes it's just EBSCO. If you wanted some consistency, you'll need to modify the bib record in order to be able to make those changes for display. Because we don't have an A to Z list outside of like in LibGuides or anything like that. So that was of importance to us.
okay, so you've got your level override, and then you ended up putting in the um proxy authorization stuff. Was that necessary because you were adding it to Primo?
I don't know that it was. I don't remember why I did that. Like this was, it changed. So I started this when I started here, like 3 years ago. So it would have been like 2.5 years ago. And at the time it wasn't configured. So I had to modify like a lot about the bibliographic record of each particular collection that is no longer required. They've made it easier. So who knows why I stuck they definitely need a level URL in order to have an unsuppressed bib, but I don't remember why I did that. It's probably not consistent among them also.
So then this has your tags. Is that what we're seeing?
Yeah, so all databases is the way that I get an A to Z function. And then we have categories that are in line with like our areas of study. Just because like we didn't want too many and we had categories that ended up sometimes having just like one thing in it versus others that were, had a lot more. So I don't know that it's all that helpful sometimes the way that we've grouped them, but I try to get a consensus among other library staff and my colleagues, and everyone had a different opinion. So I'll probably be doing some user testing and asking students what will make sense. I just haven't done that yet.
Okay. Feel like this is way more complicated than I thought it was. And that just frustrates me from the perspective of like administrator. If you want to do something as simple as making your electronic collections more discoverable in Primo, because you're not using libguides, to have to do all of this. So okay, so you created, and something tells me this recording is going to be useless except for me to take notes. So all right, so you created local bibs from the community zone bib and then assigned categories to those database records. So if we go into your config and resources, will we see where was
I think it was other settings, maybe.
it? Yeah.
Yeah, I think it's 23 DB underscore categories field. And so that's where I just chose a local field in the 900 somewhere that we weren't using for anything else. And so then a
Mm,
nightly job goes and looks at the 950s of records and grabs those records and puts them in the categories.
got it. So that pertains to this very uninformative part.
Mhm.
Uh, okay. And then there's the job, admin, scheduled, and so if we go to out of this and it is discovery. So you've got this create DB categories.
And I think,
It's interesting 'cause it says 99 records processed, but when we look at your A to Z, it says
yeah,
69 databases.
why is it like, I mean, I haven't added anything new.
If you look at the reports or the events, does it give you a list of,
Nope.
or maybe on the reports, does it give you a list of the
Which
things it took
ones were
actions
updated?
on?
It's empty.
Oh.
It does say records with exceptions 0.
And it could be, because I was new to Alma and this tool was not yet improved in certain ways. I had to, I had like a fits and starts. So I was like double creating electronic collections at one point. So depending on what this is actually looking at, it could be
It
something like modifications I've made to bibliographic records, or it could be looking at the collections themselves. It's not very apparent to me anyway.
Well, and it's very interesting that as recently as the 20th, it went from 98 to 99. Let's see. And a year ago was 164.
That's probably I was working to get rid of a lot of the duplicates.
Ah,
Yeah, my bad. I didn't understand how. I still don't really understand about electronic resources. But I can't
but
remember
then it went back up, went way up,
oh,
up to 202. Starts to come back down. October.
I feel like you're exposing my dirty laundry.
No, we're learning. And then it was down to 90. Oh, hey, you did a lot of work in November.
Yeah, I did.
And then it's just looks like it's slowly come back up.
That's
Is
June.
it perhaps so records processed, maybe it doesn't mean um maybe it means the number of fields. So like it goes back up
Oh,
because like you added a
yeah.
subject
And we
line to
switched all
one
of
of
the
them.
labels. Yeah, maybe that
Yeah.
yeah.
Um because all of these have all databases,
Mm-hmm.
but some of them have a second. I'm assuming a few have a third. Um
Yeah. And this is where we had like the consideration, how long do you want this list to be? Because some like interdisciplinary databases, right, could fit in every category, but then it would be,
Silly and repetitive.
yeah.
Mhm.
So it's not ideal also because we can't create like on the landing page of database search. Like ours, it goes to the A to Z list. But yeah, because I'm forcing it, right? But
Oh, uh-huh.
but the blank one will just have the category on the side, and then you can't even CSS it. You can't change what's in the middle.
Oh,
So yeah, it's not.
I just had this thought of, so like, if you have academic search complete active, and for all the other EBSCOhost minor, subsidiary ones, they are, you've got it set, your display logic rules is, just throwing it up to academic search complete. Can you have the bib record unsuppressed for one of the smaller collections so that, like, it should Alt Health Watch? Have you hidden Alt Health Watch as a collection in, just, am I making sense?
I don't totally understand.
So you've got Alt Health Watch. Oh, it didn't do the right space. In the list of databases because you have a bib record for it.
Hmm.
For this portfolio list in your discovery, what is it? I think it's display configuration. What is it when you can, I mean, it's display configuration rules where you can hide certain databases if the content exists in another one.
Oh. Um. Hmm.
Where is it?
So that like for a particular article, you don't get EBSCO database, EBSCO database, EBSCO database.
Correct. Yeah.
No, but I remember, I think Amy was talking about that. I know that she's been working for a while to get the order switched, and then she'd that would be a good one to turn on though.
Mhm. Maybe I don't have the right permissions. Oh, and you have, so this is another place.
That was at the beginning when Wade didn't know how to do it either, and
So
so
this might not be a thing at all.
it's not a thing at all. No,
Okay.
I just forgot it was there.
Okay. Good to know. Okay, I'm gonna search. No, logic. Display logic. Okay, it must be in configuration. Display logic rules. Okay, it's under fulfillment for some reason instead of discovery. Even though it, so in addition to being able to, yeah, so you've got a couple going already, but so you could do like for everybody, so you don't have to enter anything. So you hide electronic collection.
General electronic service.
Is that what it is? No. What does it say?
It's well text.
Text. Thank you. It's
Full
high. Yes.
text. Okay.
Yes, hide the service of full text. Um,
Oh, I could just
with
modify those and just pick all of the ones.
yeah, so like all of the EBSCO Alt Health Watch. So modify this if full text exists
In academic search for me. Oh, I should do
with
that.
Academic Search Premier.
Or complete. I guess we have complete.
Yeah. And um so if you do this, so like then you go through and you're like, okay, here, let's do um so one of the things that I uh like kind kind of bugs me about hiding a million different collections is because what if students then don't realize that content comes from, you know, micro collections? It's one less tool potentially for them to be able to navigate the larger collections. So, like, but it cleans up search results if you've got something that shows up in CINAHL and Consumer Health and Academic Search Complete. And I didn't put all of them on here, Abby. And I don't have to say this either. But anyway, so if you had these display logic rules that cleaned up your so like
So is that display logic rule going to have an effect on the database EZ lab?
that's what I'm wondering.
Well, I'm gonna go try it and we'll see, I guess.
Okay, so I've added that one that hides the service of Alt Health Watch if full text exists in Academic Search Complete, and it's still there.
As it should
So,
be, right? Because it's a local bid.
yes,
Yeah.
exactly. So going through the work of copying all of the database bib records and creating the database search function in your Primo allows you to kind of serve the people who are like, well, I want to go exactly to Agricola, or I need to know exactly, which database this article is coming from, or blah, blah, blah. While cleaning up your Primo displays for specific content. And if you wanted to clean up, like keep your libguides A to Z shorter, or vice versa. Like if you wanted your libguides A to Z to have, a bunch of open access in every single micro thing and direct links to certain publications like the Wall Street Journal, but you also for, iPads or whatever, want a list of the actual database collections that you have active for discovery. This seems like the place where you could kind of create one more level of how inclusive are we in providing the links to the different sources. If that, I don't know. Am I making any kind of sense? I'm not. I'm just trying to think through like how would you use this and make it different
Hmm.
and valuable outside of like a libguides A to Z and in conjunction with any display interface logic. Thoughts?
Hmm. I guess for us, it's also part of like this larger philosophy that, you know, OneSearch wasn't, I would call it OneSearch, wasn't a reliable tool. Primo wasn't reliable because it, it's just because no one configured it correctly. And so as we started to learn and understand how it worked and configure it like better, that's kind of our thinking is like the fewer platforms that we're sending students to,
Mm-hmm.
for us, the kind of the better. We centralize like analytics and reporting, especially with the yeah, we can kind of see the Primo search, so like seeing how they're getting into the database list. But then, so it's just like kind of trying to keep everything located within this one environment, and like that lends itself into like um, marketing tools, right? So like our handouts, we don't necessarily need to update, or tutorials on the website, right? The interfaces are looking,
Mm-hmm.
and EBSCO just updated theirs again. So, and then so that's part of our thinking too, of kind of locating it in um, the one search environment.
Yeah, and I think that kind of answers my question of like, what is the value of doing all of this work to create yet another A to Z
Mhm.
database list? And I think that's it. It's that if we can really streamline for student users, especially the
Mhm.
tutorial of go search in this one box, it's going to look like this.
Mhm.
Um, and you have the option of finding the different, a journal title, which is pretty much, I think almost everybody has their journal A to Z um as a visible link up here. I think only 2 schools have not included it. Um it's it's one more, this looks exactly the same. I know what to expect. And also if it's in there, even if it's not visible, just like journal titles, and you can search for it. Okay, so when you get to the database through Primo, does it link out to the database Okay, so that's why I was doing it through Big Bend, since I have credentials. So when I searched for Agricola in Big Bend's Primo and did all resources, the one that came up. And so if I clicked on the record and it went to a pop-up. If I click on available online, it goes to full text availability. And when I clicked on this, it took me to the proxy and I signed in, and then it took me to the level URL.
In ours, though, I enabled something in the view that allowed for the direct link. Like if you have,
Oh, do you have direct linking active?
I do. So if you
Yeah.
click in ours, if you click the title, you see the full bib record. But if you click available online, it shoots you. Yeah.
So this will
Yeah.
can go. Yeah, so and that's direct linking.
I can't remember which is which.
Let's
Um,
I mean, if we go to your views, we will see what you have active.
It's not quick links because that's deactivated.
So it must be direct linking,
Yes,
which is
somewhere else.
enabled somewhere else in God, yeah, we're not gonna post this recording.
Okay, Alma configuration, fulfillment, discovery interface, display logic. But display logic again, direct linking is there, maybe?
uh yes. So display logic rules was where we hid micro collections, and then direct linking, it is yes for Whatcom. It is enabled even when there are multiple services. it is. I love how they do this with it's like enable, disable. Um uh Adrian, I will give you this recording if you want it, but I'm not putting it on YouTube. Uh Also, I think we probably need to come back to this and create some good notes. The other thing is if you have direct linking on, you probably want to also make sure that you have not disabled it for electronic collections, because that is what allows Abby's to act like a direct through instead of going to the record and then having to click through.
I can share
So
my notes with you, Carly. So, I mean, they're old. Some of them might be old, but it's more natural language than some of the Ex Libris stuff.
yeah, and I think this is good because I think this is definitely something where, we could put together a natural language guide to, what is the value of doing this work? What is the process for doing it? And then things like, okay, if you're going to do it, it really makes sense to enable direct linking. How does that then affect other, resources? And it would be interesting to do this in test views, and really kind of dig into direct linking and quick linking differences, because I'm still not entirely clear on. I mean, I am in this moment like, oh yeah, direct linking is when available online takes you directly to the thing, and quick linking is when it's kind of like libkey, but it's if there's a source for the full text with a link in the
It's like
activated
get PDF.
electronic collection, it'll say get PDF.
Yeah.
But that's the one that like really doesn't work very often.
Mm.
And I think you could configure direct linking to like not be enabled when there's multiple services, to be disabled when there is open access,
Mm.
to um and it says disable direct linking when additional information is available. So like you could disable it for digital resources, journals, if there's a public note, if there's an authentic note, but keep it only for electronic collections. If you were like, I'm not sure how this is going to work for this, that, or I think direct linking has gotten better compared to the quick links that is still failing more often than not, or saying there's a PDF because something's open access, but then it fails because it's looking for that PDF behind a paywall. Because it's relying on the level URLs or parser parameters in the portfolio information, whereas libkey is using the DOI, and I think that's where we get the difference in reliability, because as we know, portfolio URLs are wrong not infrequently. So yeah, so I'm definitely going to make a note that we need to return to this, because it's perhaps several levels of conversation about discoverability and how you at your institution want your users to use Primo versus other tools you may be promoting through library instruction. So I'm just gonna like, okay, electronic collections and direct linking. And local bibs for Primo. And what is the okay. Well, the link that Nicole shared, what, oh, yeah, image, Kirsty, do you want the knowledge base link? Okay,
Okay, thanks.
there's both.
Yeah, and the
Uh,
screenshot is great too.
yeah.
Thank you. Thank you, both of you.
Yeah, I think this is a good topic where some documentation that's written kind of for us at our level, with the consideration of libkey, could be valuable, and a good conversation. Sorry it wasn't quite as like, here's a thing and I know what's going on. It definitely was not that. But it's good to know that, like, it's funny that Big Bend has some of it working. Oh, nice. There's a typo in the format. Wonder where that comes from. Things to fix. Yeah, it's good that we have Whatcom, who's Abby's got this kind of going, so we can kind of look and see, and we'll kind of go from there. But thanks so much, everyone, and have a great rest of your afternoon. The meeting tomorrow is going to kind of be on the same vein. We're going to look at the display logic rules about hiding certain services, and then also configuring request forms. And I suspect it will be another one that's perhaps more conversation than instruction, because it's a new thing for me, kind of. So, all right. Well, have a good afternoon, folks. And
Yeah, don't forget to double check because that looks like a helpful email, but I didn't get it. And I think that's the one we're
okay.
talking about. Yeah.
Yeah, because I definitely sent it to this. So I'll log into the listserv as the admin and see what it did to it. Weird. Okay. Well,
Cool. Thanks,
yeah.
Carly.
Yeah. See you guys.
Bye.